Hey everybody, welcome to the Blue Collar Beer Gentleman. I'm Topher and I started this channel because I'm a fan of craft beer, but I'm also on a limited budget. And I wanted to demonstrate it was possible to enjoy good quality beers without having to break the bank. And so I'm always looking for the best deals on this channel, and I think I may have found a pretty good one today. Spent $2 with my friends at Hilton's Haven, which is located at 21415 Southeast Stark in Gresham, Oregon. I picked up the 3 Sport Day Lifestyle Pilsner from Everybody's Brewing. I actually had Everybody's Brewing, the Little Sister IPA. Had this years ago. It was back before I actually had an Untapped account, so I can't remember what I gave it, but I seem to remember liking it. The only other beer that I've had from them is a beer known as Everybody's Naked in the Backwoods. It's a collaborative effort between them, Backwoods Brewing, and Naked Brewing. So that's my experience with those two, neither of which do I have any record of on Untapped. And we'll get to how little there is about the reviewing on Untapped in just a moment. This beer has a 4.8 ABV. Typically American Pilsners, or German-style Pilsners, I should say, come in between 4.4 and 5.2 on the ABV scale. Don't have IBUs for this beer, sorry. Also, don't have a date packaged on or brewed. Nowhere to be found on the can. So don't have anything about that. Including the don'ts, don't have any friends who've ever checked in on this beer. But 287 of us on Untapped have otherwise, and it has a 3.63 cumulative score amongst them. Beer Advocate, once again, no rankings. Actually has a record for it in Beer Advocate, but nobody checked in on it. So there you have it. Because of that, because there's so little about to be said about the review community and so little about the beer itself, I'm going to talk a little bit about Pilsners in this video. The Czech Pilsner, actually, as the story goes, was made by a Bohemian brewer who was given some hops that were somehow smuggled out of Bavaria to the Czech region of Bohemia, specifically the Pilsen region, and that's where the beer originated. In the 1870s, the Germans decided to start brewing a variety of beer that was very similar to the Pilsner. However, their brewing conditions and their water, mainly the water was the chief difference. The water is what made the Germans decide, since it was in the style of, but not exactly like, they were going to call their beer a Pils. So that's usually the distinction between a German Pils and a Czech Pilsner. And if memories, I don't know that this says, yeah, it doesn't say, it calls itself a lifestyle Pilsner. And 3-Day Sport is a reference to those of us living here in the Gorge. When the conditions are just right, like I'm probably assuming something like today, you can do a fall, winter, and spring sport all in one day. You can kayak and snowboard and like mountain climb or I don't know. But anyway, the point being that the sports that are traditionally linked to each of the 4 seasons in the Gorge, if the conditions are just right, you can do all 3 of them. And this is the tribute to that. And that stands to reason because Pilsners are extremely light beers. It's the kind of beer that you could, like drink one and then go do your next activity and not worry about being inebriated for doing your next activity. Last thing I want to say about Pilsners is that they sort of lost their popularity, or rather German Pils sort of lost their popularity in Germany around the turn of the 20th century. But in the 1950s, after the Second World War, when there was a real push to modernize and move forward and do new things, they decided one of the things that they wanted to do was revive the Pils variety of beer, and so it sort of got a renaissance, if you will, in the 1950s, the German Pils. And I, because it's calling itself a lifestyle Pilsner, I don't know whether this is being true to Czech or German, or whether it's an American Pilsner, but anyway, Pilsners are, as I stated once before, Pilsners are lagers. All beers are either lagers or ales, and Pilsners fall into the category of lagers. This has exactly as much carbonation as I would expect a Pilsner to have. Pilsners are known for having huge amounts of carbonation. I myself, out of the lagers, I've got to say Pilsners are my personal favorite. I've brewed Pilsners. They're great beers to make. Fun to make in cold brewing if you have the capacity for it. I did not have that capacity at home, but there was a shop that has since closed back in Las Vegas where I brewed a Pilsner, and even Nancy helped me with that, and I had a good time with that one. Turned out good, and I think everybody enjoyed that beer. Let's give this a quick beard wipe, see what we encounter. Smell a lot of malt, and I smell that yeast. Yeah, that Pilsner yeast is very, very distinct. It has a very distinct bouquet to it, and a very distinct aroma. A very distinct aroma in the bouquet of that Pilsner yeast. I love that Pilsner yeast smell. I'm going to stick my schnoz directly in and see what else I can encounter. Just a lot of malt and a lot of yeast. It's a very, very yeasty smelling beer. I'm a little amazed at how much lacing we've got going on here, considering we've got, what was it, a 4.8? Well, 4.8. Yeah, okay, that's a kind of high on the ABV scale for a German-style Pilsner. This has poured in a really nice straw color. I hope this is showing up on camera the same color as it is in real life. And if you note, this head, while not particularly stiff, is also not going anywhere either. So we've got a very resilient, kind of creamy head. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have sort of a creamy finish on this. Well, I think I've exhausted talking about it. Let's get to some drinking, shall we? Cheers. Okay, going to describe that as medium-high mouthfeel. A little bit of spikiness to that. There's sort of a lemony flavor on the back end of it, which I'm kind of digging. Yeah, I'm not sure what hop profile they use, but yeah, whatever the hop profile is, we've got sort of a lemony flavor. Seems funny, all that malt that was coming through on the bouquet is not so much coming through on the tongue, but it's the hops are coming through really, really well. And I'm thinking this is a really good beer. I don't know whether they called it Lifestyle Pilsner, and that's perfect, because that way they've neither committed to it being a Czech Pilsner nor a German Pils. It's a Lifestyle Pilsner. It's something that they're coining for American Pilsners, and I think that's a great way to name a beer that is catching on in American varieties. And like most American varieties of foreign beers, this is super hoppy. I think this is going to be a landmark beer. I really feel like that. At least in the way I feel about Pilsners, this is definitely a landmark beer, and I know that I've been extremely generous with a lot of grading lately, but I think I have to give this beer some exceptionally high marks here, because I think this is the face of the American Pilsner, guys. I really do. I think right here you're looking at 3 Sport Day Lifestyle Pilsner. I think this is very much this is going to be a strong prototype to what the American Pilsner will be when we actually develop an American Pilsner style, and when it's found in BJCP. And you're going to see that like pretty much every American variety, it's going to be a great deal of hop that differentiates it from the other varieties. And I really think they're onto something here. This is a hell of a beer, and especially at $2. So I think this is actually gonna end up in the special selections section. What I love about special selections is that I never know that I've got one until I've got it in my hand and I'm drinking it, and that's the case with this. This is going to be a special selection. This will be one of the Blue Collar Beer Gentlemen special selections, because it is so it's textbook and revolutionary at the same time, and I don't know any better way to explain it than that. So I think when a beer reaches that sort of pinnacle, it just deserves a 5.0. And because of that, that's exactly what I'm going to be giving this beer on Untapped is a 5.0. This will, rarely do I keep a trophy. I don't keep bottles and cans like some of my friends do. I'm thinking I might actually keep this can. So I think I've gushed about this beer long enough, and I think it's probably time for me to wrap this up. Well, guys, if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and share. Don't forget to check out my other channel, Fat 50 and Running a Marathon. And until next time, drink good beer and don't break the bank doing it. Cheers!